Hello everyone, welcome to SkShadow. Welcome back to another episode of our F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, and this time we are at Spa in Belgium, which is a very, very nice track. As you can see, we have some sponsor renewals up, but I decide might as well just renew the sponsors that we've already got. As you can see, we've got a lot of time to do activities as well, so I just did an autofill, but then I noticed that the morale in the durability department is actually quite poor, so I get rid of the GeForce training, and then I replace that with durability team building, which, as you can see, will put the morale of durability up by 5%, so who knows what that'll do, but I'm sure it will be good. As you can see, we've got a little bit of resource points, so we do an upgrade on the engine power. So this is a minor upgrade, which is just going to upgrade the crankshaft. That costs us a little over 600 resource points, so not too bad. And then we also have a little bit of money, as you can see, 7.68 million. So I decide that we could do with an upgrade. So if you look at the powertrain department, either build time or quality control we can upgrade. I decide to do build time, so that's going to basically make our engine upgrades a little bit faster, which is never a bad thing. As you can see, we also, as we've gone forward a bit more, have some more resource points, so I think I'm going to go for a rear downforce or a drag. I'm not sure, we'll find out. Looks like I'm going for the drag one. If I do rushed, it will come before Monza, whereas if I do standard, it will come after Monza. I mean, Monza aerodynamics, especially drag, is quite important, so I do that rushed, and then I also do the rear downforce, but instead I do that standard, so at least one of them will hopefully work, because obviously rushed we've got a 55% chance of failing. But in the weather forecast, you can see it was dry for qualifying, and it was actually going to be raining at the very end of the race. So it's going to be interesting. Carl's at us with some next year's regulations, so it's going to affect multiple departments. So we've got to be careful with our resource point spending, because we might have to spend a lot of it on securing upgrades. But look, we've made a huge jump now. We are now the 5th best team. So we'll have to see what that means in qualifying and see if we can get ourselves some decent points. So we are into qualifying now, and what I'm showing you here is you can see the temperature of our tyres are around 70 degrees, and you can see that the little blue circle means that they're really, really cold. So on this outlap I'm having to do a lot of weaving around, but got to let that Alfa Romeo pass first. But the reason that is because I've installed a tyre temperature mod, which is supposed to make it a little bit more realistic and a little bit more difficult. But either way, tyres all warmed up, we go onto our first lap, lock up a little bit, which means that we go a little bit deep into turn 1, but not too bad. As long as we can carry the speed through, it doesn't matter too much. As you saw, we've got quite a lot of upgrades that have happened, so we should easily be getting through Q1 into Q2, and then when we're in Q2, it looks like if we're lucky and we properly push, we should be able to get into Q3. And you know, that doesn't happen very often, getting into Q3 of our My Team car. You can see there we actually set a purple sector 2, so what that means is we've done the fastest of anyone in sector 2, as we cross the line with a 141.724, which we won't know how fast that is, but you can see Ricardo did a 141.059, and we're supposed to be faster than the Renault. I mean, admittedly, Ricardo has been crazily fast the whole season pretty much, but yeah, we are supposed to be faster than him. So but skipping forward a little bit, you can see we're in P8, actually only a tiny bit off of our teammates' time, and I didn't bother doing another run, and we ended up 14th. So you can see we did 0.724 and Ocon did a 0.737, so pretty damn close there. Now we are into Q2 as we round the final corners to start our first time lap of Q2. As you saw, we're gonna have to be quicker if we want to get into Q3. That's just how it is. I did do a run, as you can see, but that was a 141.776, so that's enough for P9 at the moment. You saw with in Q1, that's just not going to be enough really. You can see we're still down on our time, but we do this corner a hell of a lot quicker. And we are now 2.5 attempts up. Can we gain a little bit more time? We managed to not lock up there. You'll notice I'll lock up there quite a lot probably. But we absolutely throw the car into the corner, and that has allowed us to go almost 5 attempts quicker than our first Q2 time. Obviously you didn't see that. But over 5 attempts now, stretching 6 attempts. How fast can we go? Sector 2, purple again. Seemingly our car is very well suited for Sector 2, but as we hammer it down, braking at the 100 metre board, or just about, go through these 2 very slow corners, chuck on the DRS, and we cross the line with a 141.3, I think that was. Is it enough to get into Q3? It is. It's enough for 5th as well, actually, so that's pretty fantastic. A 141.3, and our teammate Ocon only P12. He did a 141.846, which is actually slower than the time he did in Q1. So, yeah, that's a little bit concerning, but I suppose I can let it go. But Max Verstappen out in Q2 because he refused to do a run on softs. He really, really wanted to start the race on mediums, so he just didn't do a run on softs, and that meant he's not in the top 10 shootout, so that is not very good. What you're seeing here is my first run in Q3. I did do a second run, but I'm not going to show you that because it was actually slow and a bit pointless. So this was a pretty decent lap, I think, so I'm just going to show you the whole thing. Obviously you can skip forward to the race if you want, but I'm just going to shut up and let you watch the lap. So we crossed the line with a 141.222. So I am very happy with that. Like I say, I did do a second run, but I couldn't go faster. But that is enough for 8th. So let's see where that takes us.
We're in Belgium once again for today's round of the Formula One World Championship. It's a race the great Ayrton Senna won 6 times, and in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to take their maiden win here since Michael Schumacher in 1992. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo, a strong showing from the Australian. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Gasly, Lando Norris, and Albon, Perez, the engineer, Kvyat, and Antoine Hubert, Verstappen, Ocon, Sebastian Vettel, and Stroll, Russell, Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and Kevin Magnussen, Giovinazzi, De Vries, Ireland, and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So, P8 for us, definitely potential for points there. You can see our supposed strategy is going to be soft up to lap 7 and then on to hards, but obviously bear in mind it is supposed to rain at the end of the race, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But it is 5 lights out and away we go. We get a reasonable start, I'd say. Got Kvyat coming up our inside there, but we break that a little bit later, actually lock up a little bit. Get a little tap from Kvyat there, but we are still side by side. Although we're now side by side with signs, and there's a yellow flag safety car. Only VSC. What was that about then? A couple of cars out there. Well, that's our teammate next to the Renault, and they crash and take out the Red Bull at the same time, and the Red Bull flies off the road and seemingly hits a couple more cars. We'll see it on board with the Red Bull as well. Yeah, there he is. Just touches the grass, goes across, and gets taken out by both Williams there. So, yeah, that's both the Williams out of the race, Max Verstappen and our teammate, which is not very good because, one, obviously it means we now don't have a teammate in the race, but two, one of our sponsor objectives is to have no DNFs within the team. And now we've got that, we're going to lose out on whatever sponsor money it is. I think it's like 500, 700k or something like that. But yeah, not very good. But like I say, it is just a VSC. So they're probably the most annoying type of safety car because nothing interesting happens at all. As you can see, we move on to lap 2. And we are still behind Kvyat. But we are very, very, very close here. But we just lose out of ERS. So we look down the left, he covers it off. We look down the right, we actually back out. But then Kvyat does a massive lock-up and actually hits us. So we have to go very, very deep. But we do manage to make the move done. Now, we will watch that on the TV camera. As you can see, we did back out, but then Kvyat made a massive lock-up there and decided to turn into us anyway. So, I'm not sure what he was thinking, but that is us up into P8. And you can see on lap 3, we are still ahead. But ahead of us is Norris in the McLaren. He's over 3 seconds ahead. And then Albon 3.5. So the game here is to try and catch up with them if we can, but it's going to be very tricky because, you know, the McLarens, they are fast. But as long as we can get a gap on Kvyat, it should be fine. But as you saw, when Kvyat hit us, he did lose a little bit of his front wing, so he's very slow around his corners, which is why within 1 lap we've already made 2 seconds. So all the while he stays there, the better for us. Now moving on to lap 4, you can see he's gone into the pits to change his wing, and it's created a 5-second gap behind us. So that's given us a little bit of breathing room as we set a green sector 1 there. You can see we're making a little bit on time on the guys ahead, so 2.5 seconds to Norris, but nothing overly amazing. You hear Jeff telling us the grip levels are going to fall away already. Only lap 4, so that is not overly fantastic, but you can see we are making serious time now. We've actually gained half a second on Stroll behind us, and well, Norris has managed to get past Albon, as you can see, but we are now within 1.5 seconds of those guys up ahead. So if we keep pushing, we might be able to just catch into a bit of DRS, and then that should help us hopefully try and get past. As you can see on lap 7, that's exactly what we've done. Got the DRS. I mean, we're going to be a little bit slow because you can see that the engine gearbox icon at the bottom is orange, which means that it is a little bit damaged, so we are going to be a little bit slower than we otherwise could be. As we make a little lock up there, like I said, we definitely would. But lap 8, we go into the pits. What do they do? A 2.6, not too shabby at all. Where does that release us? That is the question. Looks like into a nice bit of clean air there, actually. P16. We're one of the first to go into the pits, so it'll be interesting to see how that particular strategy plays out. But yeah, you can see coming out of the pits, it's like 72 degrees. They are freezing cold, these tyres, which is not very good. And I will say that I did struggle quite a lot with tyre warm-up because that mod just made it almost impossible to drive with these hard tyres at all, because every time you go onto a straight like this, the tyres would just cool down and you'd have no grip going into braking zones or corners, which really didn't help. But you can see that coming out of the pits, we've actually managed to jump both Albon and Norris. Albon's managed to get back ahead of Norris through the pits, actually. But yeah, you can see we're now side by side with Albon. Can we keep it? We just got to go full send. We just about keep it within track limits, I think. And we managed to actually catch a bit of sneaky DRS as well. So that's going to help us stay ahead. And now Norris is going after Albon behind us. And he has managed to get past him as well. So Albon, after being side by side with us, he's managed to fall behind Norris. As you can see, our tyres are still absolutely stone cold. So on lap 11 at this point, I've decided that it's basically impossible to get these tyres warmed up. So I actually have to come out of the game and put take the mod off, because it was almost impossible. So that's what I've done now. But you can see Norris going down the outside, but we break that a little bit later. Still side by side though, I give him all the room, as you can see. But we do have the inside line going into this corner, and he just backs out there because he knew that if he didn't, there could have been a little bit of a crash there. Cover off the inside. In gear 3, should probably be in gear 2, but oh well. As we completely missed the apex there. So he's going to have a decent run on us. But yeah, as you could see a little glimpse there, we actually have tyres that are warmed up. You can hear Jeff giving us the initial warnings that there's going to be rain at some point. But lap 13, we're in P6, which is fantastic, setting green sectors, showing that, you know, we've actually got some warmed up tyres there, while also abusing the track limits a little bit. But yeah, lap 15, 1.5 seconds we managed to make on Norris, so not a lot, but that's sort of to be expected because we're around the same performance. Bottas is 7 seconds ahead, so chances of us getting anywhere near him pretty slim. But you can see that up ahead, Bottas gets past Ricciardo, so he goes down the inside there, just sends it. Ricciardo not quite late enough on the brakes, unfortunately, and Bottas has managed to make the move. And a little bit later on, Bottas decides, you know what, I want to get past the racing point as well, and that is exactly what he does, puts himself up into a podium position. So ahead of us is Ricciardo, who've actually made some serious time there, 4.8 seconds. Bear in mind it was 7 seconds on lap 15. And we managed to increase the gap on Norris behind by 2.5, but you can see the skies are getting gloomy, it's getting dark, it's most definitely going to start raining soon. You can see our gearbox is a very dark orange now, so yeah, we've got to be careful with that as well. We don't want our engine to be blowing up. Moving on to lap 20, you can see the first spots of rain are happening. I can't imagine anyone's going to be pitting for wet tyres because there's 3 laps left, including this lap. So that would be quite simply stupid. You can see Ricciardo quite fancies P4, so he makes the move on the racing point ahead, makes it look quite easy, and he is up into P4. You can see we are still P6 on the end of lap 20, but you can see we are losing time. It is very tricky to drive in the wet on this game, as it is, and especially when you're on dry tyres, when you should really probably be looking at inters, potentially. You can see we are losing time. Perez is now 6 seconds ahead, so they are pulling away. All the while, we keep Norris and Albon behind us, though. That is what matters. And moving on to lap 22. You can see that Norris has actually managed to gain a fair amount of time on us, so 1.3 seconds now. So he is putting the hammers on, but it is lap 22, so I think the chances of him getting past are pretty slim. And yeah, as we come to the line, we cross the line in P6. So a very solid performance, in my opinion. As you see, 8th on the grid, end the race in P6, so that's pretty good. We get 8 points for our troubles, which is fantastic. Gasly actually getting on the podium position somehow in the AlphaTauri, so he's managed to get a P2, and then obviously Ricciardo and Perez, and then us. And then Norris, Albon, Stroll and Sainz make up the rest of the top 10. But yeah, pretty decent haul of points for us. That could make all the difference come the end of the season. That actually moves us above Hubert, who obviously had the crash. So that moves us up into P7 in the driver standing. So 59 points in total, only 10 off of Albon in the Red Bull. And in terms of constructors, we're the same, P8. AlphaTauri are 70 points, which is definitely helped by Gasly's podium there. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fantastic action. And that's it from me. Good night.